A very good afternoon to all of you. Hi everyone. I hope I'm visible as well as audible. Can you guys give me a quick confirmation in the chat box so that we can start today's class? Hello Bhavna, how are you? I hope you can see my screen by the way. So, is everyone ready for today's high-powered class? Again, the Hindu editorial analysis. Good afternoon, Avi. How are you? Okay, so yes, let's start with the class, and I hope you guys are doing well, and your preparation is on the right track. So keeping that in mind, let's move to further accentuating our study preparation, right? So good afternoon, Payoja. Hi, Nikhil. Hi, Amrita. I hope you guys are doing well. Okay, Monica. So on your Q, we are going to start the session today. So as you can see, the very first word that I saw as a high frequency word today is Malefic. How many of you have watched the movie Maleficent? The movie where Angelina Jolie, I think, plays the villain, right? Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so when I say malefic comes from, if you remember the movie Maleficent, in which Angelina Jolie is basically a villain. So that kind of gives us a certain idea that malefic is a negative word, a word with negative connotation, and somebody who has an evil influence, somebody who's wicked, cruel in general, or somebody who is capable of causing a disaster can be considered as a malefic figure. And as you can see, it's an adjective, so you need to use it with a noun. So it will be either qualifying a noun or a pronoun in a sentence. Okay? Bhavna ma'am change nahi hui. There are two teachers who take the Hindu editorial analysis. So I am Sukanya if you're meeting me for the very first time, and the other one is Shazli ma'am. Okay? So I hope there is no confusion now. By the way, yes. So let's see how we can use it in a sentence. I've already told you that Acha, I have, I think, marked the wrong word here, so my bad. Guys, this word should be highlighted. Yeah. She was hypnotized by the witch's malefic eyes. And by malefic, we already know what is the meaning of malefic. It means that witch had a very evil influence and she couldn't, save herself from that evil influence. So that is how we use it. Let's see another example, by the way. The malefic presence of my old enemy put me in a state of confusion. So here also you can see presence is a noun and I have used it to qualify a noun. So that's how you can use it in a sentence. I'm looking forward to seeing your examples here. Bruna's prophecies were considered malefic in the movie On Canta. Is it Encanto or On Canto? Because generally the words which begin with en, their pronunciation is on. So is it Encanto? Cat's eyes look malefic. Okay, all right. Or you can say the malefic eyes of my cat, right? Even that's a correct usage. So moving forward, the next word is hallucinations. See, whenever you are under the influence of either alcohol or whenever you are under the influence of any sort of drug or any sort of substance, then you feel that you get hallucinations. That means you're kind of losing the control over your senses. Like you can see it here, perceptions which might seem real but only exist in your mind. So it might appear that कुछ चीजें आपके साथ हो रही है in reality, but that's just going on in your head. That's what is known as hallucinations. You can even feel things like hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, or feeling, but the things will not really actually be in existence. So that exactly is the meaning of hallucinations. And generally, this happens when you are no longer in control of your senses. Now, this can happen when you are under a great dosage of medicines. ठीक है? जब आप medicines लेते हो तो आपने देखा होगा कि you end up feeling a little drowsy or tipsy. So yeah, that's how we use it. Okay, so Avi has come up with another example. Some political parties have malefic intentions behind helping the needy. Wonderful. Good afternoon, Komal. Welcome to the class. So, yeah, let's see how we can use hallucinations in our sentence. He has been having hallucinations due to the medication. I already told you when you are under a very strong dosage of medicines, then you cannot really think clearly. And you might feel that कुछ चीजें आपके साथ हो रही हैं, but वो actually reality में exist नहीं करती हैं. ठीक है, let's use it in another example. The hallucinations I get after eating chole bhature. How many of you are big fans of chole bhature? Is unmatched. So hallucinations, why? Because you might have felt, very, very sleepy after eating chole bhature. And that's how you feel because you're losing your senses. You just want the nearest bed and you just want to go lie, right? So you can use it in your own ways and forms. Moving forward to the next one, the first word was an adjective, the second one is a noun. So be careful when you're using it in a sentence. By the way, Harisharan has come up with another example. So the malefic curse cast upon the kingdom plunged it into darkness and despair. Exactly, the evil curse or something which is capable of causing a disaster. Very good, very, very good, Harisharan. So, hello, Vivek, welcome to the class. And the next one is adversarial. Now, when I talk about something, somebody who is an adversary, I'm talking about somebody who is in the on the opposite team. Okay, somebody who I do not see eye to eye. मतलब हम दोनों के thought process जो है वो बिल्कुल नहीं मिलते हैं. So we are on the opposite teams. We are, I would say, competitors. So that's how we use adversary. And adversarial is basically the adjectival form of adversary. So let's see how we can use it. By the way, the meaning is involving or characterized by conflict or opposition, जो कि मैंने पहले ही बताया था. Somebody who is on the other team is your adversary. So let's see. Again, this is an adjective, so you need to use it in reference to a noun or a pronoun. Okay. So in our country, there is an adversarial relationship between government and business, don't you think? Because I feel that many of the government's policies, they are not in favor of entrepreneurs. So that's why they both are at loggerheads, or they both are opposed to each other. So that's how you can use it. Now, let me read your examples. Hallucinations often occur in cases of psychiatric disorders, such as schizophrenia and PTSD. Absolutely right, Payoja. Wonderful example. In the drama named Aladdin, Aladdin had a hallucination between the desert. Oh, okay, in the middle of the desert. Amidst the desert because of his tiredness and thirst. I think that happens with most people who are traveling amidst a desert. Why? Because deserts में आपको पानी नहीं मिलता है, खाना नहीं मिलता है ढंग से. So you kind of see, a mirage. You might have heard of the word mirage. It's kind of an illusion. ठीक है? Then moving forward, the next is Avi's example. Sorry, no, Vivek's example. She was having hallucinations due to euthanasia. Euthanasia is a very different word, Vivek. This is not really the right word. Anesthesia? I think you mean anesthesia, right? After staying awake for 3 days straight, he began experiencing vivid hallucinations, seeing colorful patterns dancing in the air. Wow, lovely example, Harisharan. And next one is people who undergo chemotherapy might get hallucinations. Yes, because they are under a very strong dosage of medicines. Absolutely lovely. Next one is again Vivek's example. So the adversarial relationship between me and my sister. उसके आगे भी हमें कुछ थोड़ा सा कंप्लीट करने के लिए लगाना पड़ेगा विवेक सो जस्ट कम अप विद द कंक्लूडिंग पार्ट ऑफ द सेंटेंस एंड द लास्ट एग्जांपल इज बाय हरिशरण द adversarial relationship between the two rival companies led to intense competition in the market. Yes, another great example. There should be a positive competition among students, not adversarial. I completely agree, Komal. Wonderful. So, moving to the next word of the day, and the next word is ransack. Again, a very, I would say, frequently seen word, but most people do not know the meaning of this word. Ransack is a verb, and it means when somebody goes through stealing things and causing damage. Generally, thieves, when they ransack your house, they basically destroy everything and they steal all your stuff. So that is known as ransacking. Okay, let's see how we can use it in an example. A library had been ransacked and shops looted. इसका मतलब दो चीजें हैं. Destruction of property and stolen things. Okay? The thief ransacked the entire building and also left a note. Okay? So yeah, moving forward, how you can use ransack. Basically, somebody stealing your stuff and destroying your property or something that is very close to you. So that is ransacking. The next one is exodus. And exodus is basically, you can remember it from the usage of ex here, which kind of stands for exit. So exodus is a noun, and generally whenever you must have read articles on mass migration, कभी mass migration पे articles अगर पढ़े होंगे तो तुमने exodus ये word 100% देखा ही होगा. The reason is pretty simple because exodus actually means a sudden departure of a group of people. Okay, when there is a mass movement, simple words में अगर कहें तो mass movement from one place to another, that's known as exodus. बहुत सारे लोग एक साथ एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पे मूव कर रहे हैं. Okay, Amrita's example is the stranger ransacked my neighbor's car. Oh my god. Okay, but a great example. Harisharan's example is while returning home, Sarah discovered that someone had ransacked her apartment. Now that's a scary place to come back to, right, Harisharan? And then Payoja's example is Mahmud Ghazni ransacked Somnath temple. Yes, another very famous incident, very famous historical incident, and plundered the neighboring cities. Lovely. Current situation in the world today leading to adversarial effects among people of different countries based on I cannot really see gender. Is it gender, religion, and caste? Yes, absolutely, Avi. Lovely example. So let's see how we can use the word exodus, which is a noun, by the way. So the mass exodus, I have already told you, mass movement का मतलब होता है exodus. एक साथ बहुत सारे लोग एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पे जा रहे हैं, migrate कर रहे हैं. So the mass exodus from the cities for the beaches and the mountains on most summer weekends is pretty common. You guys must have noticed that whenever there are long weekends or whenever there are holidays during the summers, because you guys are still lucky to get your summer vacations. Once you grow older, you don't get that. So yeah, enjoy it as much as you can. So whenever there is a vacation, your parents generally might book, tickets to colder regions or tickets to mountainous or beachy areas. So that's because obviously that's the best time to visit such places because of the relaxation it provides, the climate, the surroundings, the chill vibes, all of those things. So you might have seen many people traveling from one place to another during vacations, during their weekend holidays, and that is a pretty common sight. Okay. There was exodus of villagers from rural to urban areas in search of employment. That happens all the time, Komal, and you have made a great observation here. Exactly. So that happens all the time. People come from, villages to towns in search of jobs all the time. The next word is intimidation, and I think you probably, like 90% of the people might have probably heard this word, might be very aware of this word. But अगर जितने लोगों को नहीं पता है, when somebody tries to intimidate you. Intimidation का मतलब होता है कि when somebody is trying to scare you, okay, by looking bossy, by acting in a threatening or menacing manner, जिससे कि आप डर जाओ. For example, अगर आप कोई just let's just imagine a scenario where you are going to, you're going to pass a new reform because you are the current government, and then somebody tries to intimidate you that they are going to get you killed if you pass that reform. So that is intimidation. जब आपको कोई धमकी देता है, डराना चाहता है, and usually they want to get something done because धमकी तभी दी जाती है जब आपसे कुछ काम निकलवाना हो, right? So that is intimidation. The bully used intimidation to scare the young boy. Generally, bullies showcase such type of behavior. They try to threaten their victims. And as you can see in the example also, that's exactly what is happening. So Amrita's example is exodus of Siberian cranes. Yes, for favorable climatic conditions. Exactly. They always travel to India. I think probably because जब वहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा ठंडी हो जाती है, so they come to India because of favorable climate, right? Let's use it in another example. Is ways of intimidation have become outdated. We are all used to it now. तो इसका मतलब है उसकी जो डराने धमकाने के तरीके वो अब पुराने हो चुके हैं, हमें सब कुछ पहले से ही पता है. ठीक है. Let's see the examples now, the examples that you have come with. So Harisharan's example is political supporters were intimidating people to vote for their party. Yes, I think that's a very common thing to happen during general elections, right? Then Avi's example is the people of US who are under the control of the people of US, right? Who are under the control of heavy dose of drugs ransack the store as they don't have any means to lead a livelihood. Exactly. Whenever people are homeless and do not have enough money, ransacking is the activity they go for. Yes, bilkul sahi. He was not a man to be easily intimidated. Very good example, Harshita. The peasants were intimidated by the nobles in their estates. Again, that is something that happens all the time. The superior or the people who come with a lot of backing, they always try to, dominate the inferior classes. So यहाँ पे वही हो रहा है. Very good example. She was intimidated by her in-laws, her in-laws, which leads to a divorce from her husband. Okay. So she was so scared of her in-laws that that led to a divorce. Right, right. Another great example. The next word is inflection. Acha, when I talk about inflection, it's basically related generally to the intonation of the voice. जैसे कि अगर हम कुछ बातें कर रहे होते हैं. So you might have seen that people take proper pauses. Their voice actually goes up and down depending upon the conversation. ठीक है, अगर कुछ बहुत excited news होती है तो एकदम से their voice is a loud shrill and एकदम से उनकी आवाज नीचे चली जाती है अगर वो कुछ secretive बातें कर रहे होते हैं. तो that is known as inflection. तो inflection जो होता है it's usually used to kind of put emphasis, आप बोल सकते हो stress और emphasis on a certain आप बोल सकते हो बात. ठीक है, और आपकी जो आवाज होती है वो उसमें हेल्प करती है आपको. So it's the general stress or emphasis that you kind of use when you're trying to convey an important thing. So that is inflection. Okay. She spoke slowly and without inflection. That means उसकी आवाज में वो rise and fall नहीं था. ठीक है. So she spoke slowly and she spoke in a very flat manner. वहीं पे if you might have seen and noticed people who generally give speeches, ठीक है, कोई भी स्पीच अगर आपको बोलना है कि दिस इज गोइंग टू बी या दिस इज अ ब्रिलियंट स्पीच, इट्स गोइंग टू बी ब्रिलियंट ओनली when the speaker knows how to use inflection, how to use the rise and fall of his or her voice. Otherwise the speech does not really have much influence, don't you think? So yeah, Harshita, I think you have used a similar example to mine, right? In a new college, he was intimidated from seniors. Very good, Sahil. Good example. The inflection on the upcoming participation, very evident from the teacher's voice. The inflection on the upcoming participation of students was very evident from the teacher's voice. That means she has put a lot of stress on making the students understand that participation is mandatory. Okay, I think the explain. Okay, Amrita. Oh, Amrita, that's actually, you have used it in a wonderful manner. Hi, Sanchit. I am doing absolutely fine. How are you? Welcome to the class. I think you got a little late today, right? Not a problem. So let's talk about Amrita's example. I think the explanation with inflection helps me to understand the things more efficiently always. You might have seen when there is a proper rise and fall, when there is proper stress, proper pauses, then you understand the text very seamlessly, right? And another example by Bhavna, she was so brave that she didn't get intimidated by the boys on the street. Wow, lovely example. And Komal's example is the politician's speech has inflection on their campaign agenda. Again, another great usage of the word. Her rhetorical speech was full of inflection on today's youth. Another very frequently occurring word is rhetoric, right? So, Avi, you have used it properly by amalgamating the two. The inflection of upcoming CLAT exam is terrible. No, Sansit, do not worry about that. You are going to be all set, okay? Just trust on your preparation. So it's finally time for us to discuss the article of the day. And how many of you have already got the time to go through it? Comedians, yes. So when I talk about the comedians, they also use inflection to have an impact on the audience. You might have seen it in every famous stand-up comedy piece that उनका जो सक्सेस रेशियो होता है वो इसी चीज पर डिपेंड करता है इट्स डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द इन्फ्लेक्शन इन देयर वॉइसेस ओके Harisharan, no, we cannot really use it like that because you are using it as an adjective, but it's a noun. Okay. The inflection given on the current affairs by our teacher made me study it every single day. Whenever I'm supposed to talk with strangers, I speak without inflection. Another great example, Vivek. Very good. So, anybody who has already read this, I'll try to make you understand this particular passage in a very simple way. By the way, before that, I just would like to pose a question to all of you. If you remember, in I think one of our previous sessions, we did talk about quid pro quo, which is a foreign phrase. How many of you remember the meaning of quid pro quo? कुछ याद है? I'm giving you time to think about it. So as soon as you are ready, let me know in the chat box what is the meaning of this particular foreign phrase, quid pro quo. Yes, of course, Bhavna. So Bhavna, inflection का मतलब होता है when you put a lot of stress on something या when you want to emphasize something. ठीक है? Emphasize का मतलब पता है तुम्हें? अगर मुझे तुम्हें ये बताना है कि कोई चीज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है तो मैं उस पर बार बार स्ट्रेस डालूंगी बार बार तुम्हें समझाऊंगी राइट तो and yes, Avi, Bhavna, you guys have answered it correctly. Quid pro quo means something for something. That means it's kind of like an exchange, right? तुम मुझे ये दो, मैं तुम्हें वो दूंगा. It's like that. And Neha, Radhe Radhe, welcome to the class. So yeah, coming back to the meaning of inflection. तो देखो जनरली इन्फ्लेक्शन को आवाज से रिलेट करके बोला जाता है वो जो उतार चढ़ाव होते हैं आपकी आवाज में whenever you are trying to गिव a very इफेक्टिव इन्फ्लुएंशियल स्पीच, या आपने देखा होगा कि whenever you're talking to your friend in a very, I would say, secretive manner, तो आपकी आवाज भी बदल जाती है उसी के साथ. And when you're super excited and exhilarated by some piece of information, तो आपकी आवाज वैसे ही बहुत ज्यादा हाई हो जाती है, हाई pitched. So that is known as inflection, the rise and fall, the emphasis that you lay on your voice. Okay? And yes, a favor or advantage for another thing, or something for something, is known as quid pro quo. Very good. You guys all remember it. So that's the reason I did not write the meaning here. But let's finally start discussing what this particular article is all about. So बहुत simple शब्दों में हम इसे समझने की कोशिश करेंगे. Just imagine that obviously you guys are in school, right? And there is an event lined up. Suppose it's annual function or some talent show. ठीक है. अब बात ये है कि now to make the show happen, and that to happen in a successful manner, uh, the organizers of this particular show, they require money. ठीक है. For things such as renting the equipment, for the general decoration, for snacks, all of those things. उसके लिए पैसे की तो जरूरत है ही. ठीक है. So they start asking for donations from different companies, and these different companies belong to the same community, और ये जो different companies है ये अपना अपना शेयर हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को दे देते हैं. ठीक है. बट द थिंग इज यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम ये है, और द ग्रे एरिया हियर इज नोबडी नोज हाउ मच each organization has contributed. So the donations are a kind of like a secret thing. ठीक है. Now the thing is, some people start to feel like there is something fishy going on. ठीक है. क्योंकि ऐसी, अब देखो क्या है कि अगर कुछ कंपनीज ज्यादा पैसे देंगी तो ऑटोमेटिकली उनको फेवर ज्यादा मिलेगा, yes or no? For example, a particular organization is giving more money. So don't you think there is going to be, I would say, better treatment of those people? तो यहाँ पे भी वही चीज होने के चांसेस बढ़ जाते हैं. दैट्स द रीजन व्हाई पीपल हैव अ प्रॉब्लम. तो वो क्वेश्चंस पूछने लग जाते हैं कि भाई ऐसा क्यों, या कितना शेयर है, एंड व्हाई आर यू नॉट रिवीलिंग इट टू अस. तो ये क्वेश्चन आ जाते हैं. नाउ द थिंग इज, दे माइट इवन थिंक दैट द मनी इज कमिंग फ्रॉम शेडी सोर्सेस. तो उनको ये ऐसा भी लग सकता है कि जो दूसरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं हु आर पेइंग अ लॉट ऑफ मनी, दे प्रोबेबली आर ब्रिंगिंग द मनी फ्रॉम शेडी सोर्सेस, कुछ गलत काम करके शायद उनके पास इतना ज्यादा पैसा है. ठीक है. एंड कभी कभी ऐसा भी होता है कि देर आर सर्टेन कंपनीज हु आर नॉट मेकिंग इनफ प्रॉफिट ऑन पेपर, बट देन बाद में पता चलता है कि उनके पास ब्लैक मनी है, एंड दैट्स हाउ दे आर यूजिंग देयर ब्लैक मनी. ठीक है. नाउ दिस इज जस्ट एन एग्जाम्पल which can be relatable to you, because मैंने स्कूल का एग्जाम्पल लिया, मैंने स्कूल में एक एनुअल फंक्शन या टैलेंट शो का एग्जाम्पल लिया, ऑर्गेनाइजर्स का एग्जाम्पल लिया. लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड इट इन टर्म्स ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स. ठीक है. दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन पॉलिटिक्स ऑफ इंडिया. अब यहाँ पे बात होती है, देयर इज अ थिंग कॉल्ड इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो अबाउट इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स? एनी आइडिया अबाउट दैट? यस शिशिर, एग्जैक्टली. स्टॉक मार्केट इन्फ्लेक्शन एवरी डे. देखो अगर जिसको नहीं भी पता है व्हाट आर इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स, सो इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स एक्चुअली गिव the organizations and companies the privilege, or you can even say, आप बोल सकते हो कि उनको एक तरीके से हमने एक ऐसी फैसिलिटी प्रोवाइड कर दी दैट थ्रू दीज इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स द कंपनीज कैन एक्चुअली गिव मनी ड्यूरिंग द इलेक्शंस टू द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ऑफ देयर चॉइस. अब ऑब्वियसली दो तीन पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज रहती हैं प्रोमिनेंटली, और उनके कुछ सपोर्टर्स भी होते हैं. अब हो सकता है कि एक पार्टी के ज्यादा सपोर्टर्स हो तो उनको इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स भी ज्यादा मिलेंगे. ठीक है. दैट मीन्स द मनी दैट दे आर गोइंग टू एक्चुअली अर्न इज गोइंग टू बी more than the others. So that is probably going to help them through election campaigns. तो बहुत सारी चीजों में वो पैसा काम में आता है. तो यहाँ पे वही बात हो रही है कि अब ये जो कंपनीज हैं who are kind of getting these electoral bonds and giving the money to their respective political parties, तो यहाँ पे बट ये सारी चीजें तो सीक्रेटिव तरीके से चल रही है, because nobody really knows who is paying how much money. So the thing is, people have lot of apprehensions regarding it. Apprehensions का मतलब होता है when you have fear or anxiety or worry related to a particular issue. So apprehension मैंने यहाँ पे भी highlight किया हुआ है. You guys must have paid attention. तो अब यहाँ पे बात वही होती है कि it might lead to a lot of problems, like even some illegal stuff, या some other, I would say, क्या बोल सकते हैं, सीक्रेट डील्स हो सकती हैं इसके पीछे, कुछ इलीगल चीजें हो सकती हैं, एंड दैट्स द रीजन दीज फियर्स सीम टू बी कमिंग ट्रू. सो द सुप्रीम कोर्ट इज नॉट रियली इन फेवर ऑफ दीज इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स. तो हम देखते हैं कि यू ऑलरेडी नो हु इज द बिग बॉस ऑफ द लीगल सिस्टम, इट्स द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. According to them, these electoral bonds are not really in the right. That means it should not really be the means of, uh, क्या बोल सकते हैं, means for these companies to actually pay money to their political parties. And the Supreme Court even feels that it's kind of against the rules. तो ये जो electoral bonds हैं कहीं ना कहीं बंद हो जाने चाहिए. That is what they think. Okay, but देखते हैं आगे चल के क्या होगा. अभी no decision has been taken on this particular matter. So there are still some people who have been worried about the same issue since a long period of time. But let's see, because it's going to take a lot of time to actually make a decision on that. ठीक है, तो बस यही चल रहा है इस passage में. And you can also see that there were many difficult words in this particular passage. Oh, are you talking about okay, the future gaming is less than overall outcome of future gaming, but how are you placing them on the same, I would say, parameters here, Vivek? देखो, future gaming is very different. Electoral bonds are very different. Don't you think? Yeah. So coming back to this, do let me know, but what do you feel about it? चलो, तो यहाँ पे कुछ नए words हैं हमारे सामने, as you can see. Apprehension, I've already discussed. It primarily means the worry, the fear of something wrong that is about to happen or that might happen. Okay, let's see it here. And by the way, the meaning of the word sordid. Sordid का मतलब होता है when something is morally filthy. Obviously ये जो electoral bonds का concept ही है, ये morally filthy है ही, because I think there, like, none of the companies should be actually allowed to pay money to any of the political parties to begin with. But it's happening, and it has been happening since time immemorial. तो हम बोल सकते हैं यहाँ पे clearly कि sordid is something which is morally filthy. Okay, apprehension is fear that something bad or unpleasant will happen. Flagrant, again, something which is related to something immoral, of an action considered wrong or immoral. तो कोई भी गलत चीज जो होती है which is morally corrupt, that can be considered as flagrant. Okay, the next one is detractors. Who are detractors? They are your critiques. They are going to find faults with everything that you do. They will be critical about your actions. So these are known as detractors. Also, you can consider them as hurdles in your path to success. ठीक है, और सभी की जिंदगी में कोई ना कोई detractors होते ही हैं, one or the other. And it can be your own mobile phone also, right? And the next one is waiver. So waiver का मतलब होता है when you reject or surrender something, that is wavering something. The next one is sobering. I think this is one word which is very common. Sober का मतलब होता है when you are not under the influence of anything that will make you drowsy or tipsy. For example, you are in a sensible, solemn mood. That means your senses are working 100% and you can think clearly, you can make decisions rationally. That's when you're sober, right? The next one is vitiating. And vitiating का मतलब होता है when you try to spoil or impair the quality or efficiency of. That means when you're trying to tarnish. For example, किसी की reputation को आप खराब करना चाहते हो. So that is known as vitiating or tarnishing somebody's reputation. The next one is to arm twist. Acha, very literally, if somebody twists your arm, what exactly is happening? कोई guess कर सकता है? If somebody twists your arm, it's kind of, I would say, a way to make you do something. That means to make you so pressurized that you end up doing that. So इसका मतलब होता है pressurize somebody into doing something that they do not want. That is arm twisting. Okay, you can even use this particular phrase wherever you want when you feel that you are being pressurized into doing something you do not want. And the last one is self incriminating. When I talk about self-incriminating, it's basically to say or do something which shows that you are guilty of a crime. That means आपने खुद ही से ही एक तरीके से कमिट कर लिया है कि यस मैंने ही एक क्राइम जो है वो किया था. So saying or doing something which kind of shows that you are guilty of a crime is self-incriminating. खुद ही को ही फंसा लेना. Okay? Let's move to the next part, which is our quiz. And before that, the main idea. What was the main idea of this passage? Can you guys tell me? First of all, the Supreme Court is mulling over the contribution that comes to the political parties in the form of electoral bonds. And is underway to take a decision on the same. As these electoral bonds might give way to illegal, oh, this is L, okay, to illegal activities, right? The electoral bonds can be used in many ways to harm anyone or for many illegal works. Exactly, Amrita. So इसीलिए the Supreme Court is kind of thinking about it, how they can reduce the importance of these electoral bonds so that these illegal activities also are stopped for good. And that's pretty much the basic idea behind this passage. Now, the tone of the writer, what did you feel? What was the tone of the writer? Yes, the electoral bonds the parties receive must be free of manipulation situations. Manipulating situations, Avi. Okay? आदर्श तुम पास हो गए? Congratulations. I think we all deserve a treat then, Adarsh. I'm so proud of you. Now, the Supreme Court's strict decisions on electoral bonds which affect some of the political parties. Avi nahi. Vivek, you need to add two more lines to it. Okay? Yes, it must have a balanced approach. And obviously, if one thing tries to overpower the other thing, it's never going to be good. That's why the Supreme Court needs to take a very rational decision when it comes to the contribution that comes from the electoral bonds. ऐसा भी नहीं कर सकते कि completely ही उस चीज को waiver कर दे, reject कर दे. कुछ ना कुछ तो बीच में एक balance बिठाना ही पड़ेगा. It was concerning and critical both. So Avi and Payoja, both of you are correct. So the writer was concerned and at times critical. दोनों भी answers are correct. Analytical, why not? Because kahin na kahin, it's not really written in a neutral way. That's why. So जब neutral में कोई चीज लिखी रहती है, that means the writer is not happy or sad about it. He is unbiased about it. That's when we use analytical. Okay? So concerned and critical is your appropriate answer. Moving forward to the quiz of the day. अब पता नहीं कितने लोगों ने यहाँ पे पढ़ा हुआ है ये पर्टिकुलर पैसेज सो अगर तुम लोगों ने पढ़ा हुआ है तो आई एम लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू सीइंग योर आंसर्स हियर द नेम ऑफ द ऑब्वियसली आर्टिकल इज ऑन द बैलेट ऑन द जनरल इलेक्शन टू द 18th लोकसभा और इसके बारे में ना हम लोग कहीं ना कहीं रोज ही बात कर रहे हैं कि ये जो 18th लोकसभा के जो इलेक्शंस हैं आई थिंक एवरी सिंगल डे दे आर लाइक पब्लिशिंग एन आर्टिकल ऑन दिस वन वे और द अदर Oh, Komal, you remember the word excoriating. Lovely. By the way, out of the four options, which one should be our answer here then? Again, as I've already told you, this has been in the talks for quite some time now. तो ऐसा बार बार बोला जा रहा है कि बीजेपी is being criticized for potentially manipulating or influencing the elections and the election process unfairly. So there are concerns which are again raised related to electoral bond scheme, जो कि अभी हमने just बात की थी, because they are deemed as unconstitutional, because according to Supreme Court they should not really be in motion, and the appointments within the Election Commission of India. So हमें यही पता चलता है कि इस पूरे पैसेज में कहीं ना कहीं बीजेपी की बुराई हो रही है. So what do you guys think should be the answer? Very good. Okay, so let me tell you one thing, Payoja. In analytical, we have pros and cons, and it's written in a neutral way. Okay? In factual, it's going to have data which will have facts and figures, again written in a neutral way, but it will not have pros and cons because it's not an analysis. Informative maybe facts होते हैं. So factual and informative can be used synonymously. बिकॉज इंफॉर्मेशन किसी चीज से रिलेटेड होती है तो उसमें भी फैक्ट्स ही होते हैं. ठीक है. सो नो, इट्स नॉट रियली डिसाइडिंग, इट्स एक्चुअली सेंसोरियस, कम्स फ्रॉम द वर्ड सेंश्योर या बीइंग क्रिटिकल, because primarily the entire article criticizes the BJP's current activities. एक तो इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड पे उनने बात की, इलेक्शन कमीशन में अभी जो न्यू एडिशन है उस पे बात की. तो सारी ही चीजें जो हैं, it kind of projects that BJP is trying to influence the upcoming general elections, and that's the reason the writer is censorious or critical. ऐसा तो नहीं था कि the writer is noting down information uh, related to this article. नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. He was not being observant. So no, noting cannot be the answer. Nauseating means something that fills you with a deep sense of disgust. तो ऐसा कुछ disgusting भी नहीं था. Deciding तब होता जब आपके लिए आपके पास एक clear cut verdict होता, तो वो डिसाइडिंग फैक्टर होता. बट यहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था. वी आर जस्ट सिंपली टॉकिंग अबाउट BJP's activities and how they are playing unfairly. So that's the reason the answer is critical. Moving to the next one. Many elections, AI's dark dimension. You already are aware of artificial intelligence. And secondly, how fast it is proliferating, right? AI jo hai, I think it's taking the world by a storm because it's very quickly being developed and people have already started using it in most of the industries. And it's kind of a very scary prospect for most of us. Don't you guys think? Are you scared of AI, by the way? So when I talk about aspects such as elections, AI is actually getting very smart every single day. Every passing day, we see AI getting smarter, and people think that AI is going to be one day smarter than human beings. I already feel that artificial intelligence is smarter than human beings, although it still cannot do many activities which humans can. Okay, now if this happens, that could change a lot of things for us, and it is going to be a very, I would say, intimidating thing for all of us because this is something which we should all be scared of. So now with finally the elections coming up in different countries, including India, AI is becoming more and more important. So that means it's playing more important pivotal roles in even these upcoming elections. But there is a worry. And what is this worry about? तो हमें पता चलता है कि AI जो है, it can also be helped and it can also be used to spread fake news. You might have heard of deep fakes, right? हम किसी का भी चेहरा किसी पे भी फिक्स कर सकते हैं, right? So that is known as deep fakes, and it can be a very easy platform to spread false news and confuse voters. And that is the reason this big problem is something which is affecting most of the people. क्योंकि अगर मुझे किसी को वोट देना है, तो अगर ऐसे ही कोई एआई मुझे इन्फ्लुएंस कर दे और मैं किसी गलत पार्टी को वोट दे दूं एंड आई एंड अप चूजिंग द रॉन्ग लीडर फॉर माई सेल्फ, दैट इज गोइंग टू bring me a lot of mental turmoil. So that's the reason why people are so worried about this problem. And also because AI is not 100% reliable. You never know when it backfires because it's after all टेक्नोलॉजी टेक्नोलॉजी कभी भी backfire हो सकती है. तो इसीलिए लोग ज्यादा डरे हुए हैं because once it makes mistakes, harmful things can happen. It will just be like opening a Pandora's box. I hope you guys know the analogy of Pandora's box. Yes or no? So एक तरफ हम देखते हैं कि AI is very very helpful. कोई बात नहीं भावना, अगर तुम्हें इसके मीनिंग्स नहीं पता है तो मैं हूं ना उसके मीनिंग समझाने के लिए. तो हमें राइटर बार बार क्या करना चाहता है, ही इज ट्राइंग टू मेक अस अवेयर एंड ही इज वेरी वेरी अलार्म्ड. सो द आंसर इज कॉशनरी. एज यू कैन सी, कॉशन करना किसी को यानी कि क्या करना, टू वार्न समबडी. टेक्निकल, टेक्निकल इज व्हेन वी यूज द यू नो, आप बोल सकते हो टेक्निकल लैंग्वेज रिलेटेड टू अ स्पेसिफिक फील्ड. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं इंजीनियरिंग से रिलेटेड एक पैसेज लिख रही हूँ तो आई विल यूज tons of words which will be related to engineering and all the technical aspects of that specific field. तो यहाँ पे हमने AI का कोई technical aspect नहीं देखा, हमने एक general, आप बोल सकते हो general तरीके से हमने AI की बात की, ना कि उसकी technicalities के बारे में. Sanguine is optimistic. So you already know the writer is not at all optimistic about AI's intervention. That's the reason he's calling it a dark dimension. Okay. Infuriated. Infuriated means something which makes you ferocious, makes you ferociously or fiercely angry. So I hope Bhavna, now it's clear the meanings of all of these tones. And finally, I think you guys have come up with the correct answer. Avi, Amrita, Shishir, Komal, Payoja. So you guys have already got the correct answer. Well done. And finally, the task of the day, please click a picture of the slide. And later on, once you're done reading this particular article, you can write down your answers in the comment box. And I'll be looking forward to that. By the way, अगर तुम लोगों को इनमें से किसी के मीनिंग्स नहीं पता है तो प्लीज फील फ्री टू आस्क. आई कैन डेफिनेटली एक्सप्लेन द मीनिंग्स बिफोर आई एंड टुडेज सेशन. सो शुड आई like discuss the meanings of introspective, exigency, analytical and descriptive? I think mostly you might already be aware of it. Thank you so much. Okay, explain the meaning of second option, exigency. Remember it from the word urgency, a sense of urgency. Okay. Introspective. Introspective has the word I. So self analysis. बाकी आई थिंक तुम लोगों को दोनों की मीनिंग्स पता ही होंगे. Analytical I did discuss in the middle of the session, right? So thank you so much everyone for your time, and I'll be seeing you again soon. So until then, happy learning and bye bye. Have a great day. Bhavna, I've already written the meaning of exigency, a sense of urgency. जब राइटर चाहता है कि आप बहुत जल्दी स्टेप्स लो किसी चीज पे. ठीक है? यस. सो बाय बाय. हैव अ गुड डे.